But parents sometimes they're afraid the kids are not practicing well, or the coach is not teaching the right thing, whatever they think is right. And very often the right for them is not right for the person that plays the game, no? You have
Yeah.
different views. Uh, how do you think they can
Well,
get more
the main
learning? Yeah.
the main thing, and I learning by experience, is to have a great coach. A great coach, or just want to start the game, to be a good person, that you trust him or her. Uh, my kids have a couple of coaches. They have good ones. They have not so good ones. But with the good ones, I want to tell a little story, because my eldest son Julian played Eddie Hare in under 12. He reached the quarters. Then he was going to play some Caceres tournaments and then the Orange Bowl. And 3 days before the Orange Bowl, he had some rust in his serve. And he was traveling with Marcelo Gomez, the former Del Potros coach.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I seen that he has some rust in his serve. And he looked at me and he said, okay, we have in a couple of days a tournament. And he didn't say more than that. So I thought he wasn't going to do nothing. And he took his serve. And he made 4 rounds at the Orange Bowl, but he listened to me, and I'm a former tennis player. I had another coaches that I can say something and they reject my opinion. But this guy, he accept my opinion, he mix it with his understanding and make a decision. That's a great coach.
Yeah. But could it be that he listened to your opinion also because you are a tennis player?
Of course, he respect me as a tennis player, but he took
Mm,
the decision. I let him take the decision of shifting or not his serve. I just be making him aware that there was something, and then he
okay.
decided.
Yeah. And how about imagine the situation, because he's a very famous coach and he's a coach that has had a lot of success. So it's no doubt about it. Imagine you're a father that don't play tennis and you come up with something like that. What would have been Marcelo's
No,
reaction?
no. Marcelo reaction will say the same that he made with me, but he didn't follow his advice, for sure.
Okay. Okay.
But he listens to me, and we work together, and we have a good understanding. But the main thing is to trust the coach, mostly for all the parents that doesn't understand the game. And all parents think that they have the next uh Sharapova at home, the next Djokovic at home. And that it's very tough to make a living in tennis. So uh, take it easy is better in the early stages, because it's a long way. You've seen Novak Djokovic is playing, and he been playing for 20 years in the tour. That's a lot. And careers are very long. And we think about the next tournament. So we have to go for a long run here, that they enjoy the sports, that they are out of the couch and they are playing some tennis, some other sport. And that's the goal. The goal is they want to come back again, as I went to the world. That's the big goal.
Yeah. You just mentioned something that I think is a very sensible factor when you say that parents don't know the game. I think parents very often nowadays, because there's such a big flow of information, they think that they
Yeah.
understand the game. No, they've been watching their kids maybe for 5 years at different tournaments, and you have YouTube, then you can listen to podcasts, and they
Yeah.
think they understand the game. How do you think a person gets to understand the game?
Well, coaches have to be more wise and make some space for parents. Perhaps, as you said, there are many information available. parents can be involved in the stats, in other things, but you have to make them involved, but in the same way that don't burn the relationship with the kid, you know. So it's a balance. You can say stay away because they are paid, they are the customer, but making them involved in another way, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah.
I put myself a lot in the shoes of parents, because I say this: when I go to a doctor, Hernan, I have no idea if the doctor is a great doctor or a bad doctor. I just go to the doctor, and I assume for parents it's the same. They go to a place, they look for a coach, an academy, whatever, and they don't know if the guy in front of them is a good coach or a bad coach. They just go by feeling, but sometimes by their results, uh, and sometimes just because, no. So the poor parents are also sometimes exposed to better or worse coaching depending on luck.
Well, I think that coaches have to give some monthly report to parents what they are doing with the kid, what they are trying to work on, what are the next tournaments. Once a month is a healthy situation. But nowadays, I see parents, why my kid lost? Wow, you need a full report every loss. That's that's kind of challenging, you know. You need a relationship, but you need a flow relationship, not a toxic one. So if you keep them informed about what are you working on mentally, what you're working on physically, what you expect about them to be in the next year, because perhaps our parents see that the kid wins a tournament and they have to skip steps, you know, because in the junior circuit, many people skip steps and they start losing all the time against older people. And they say, no, no, they're losing because they are playing with older guys. And you have to build another things when you are kids. So selecting the right coach is important for parents. And you have to listen to the kid always, because kids don't speak in words, they behave. So you have to recognize the subtle things about your son or your daughter when they are having a good time. Perhaps it's a good coach, but it's not a good environment. Perhaps it's a great environment, but they are not learning. You have to be very aware.
Awesome, thank you. I think it's such a valuable area to support parents and coaches to find that way to relate better, especially nowadays, because it's not a like a one person job anymore, no. It's like a bigger team. I remember my years as a coach in Germany. The parents dropped their kids at the club and they left, and I had the full responsibility and control as well, no. I could do whatever I wanted to and teach whatever I wanted to, whatever I thought it was correct. Now there's a little bit more back and forth input, listening to parents. Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting
well,
subject.
what I can tell to them is that back then we train technique and we don't train the mind, you know. And it's important for kids when they start, you can start making some games or some things to train their mind also. Because then when you're 18, 20 years, you waste perhaps 10 years and you realize that it's about the mind all of the time. And you can use the mind in sports, in business, in whatever you want. So you have to train the mind. The other day I was reading the Rick Macy's book, Billion Dollar Mind, and it's a jewel. It's a jewel.
I
And
haven't read it.
uh, but it's a jewel. You have to set the tone for yourself, you know, the self-talk, what do you say to yourself, your environment. You have to be aware, and you have to make your kids aware also, you know.
Yeah, very important. The mind is a fundament of high performance. um Hernan, you mentioned that you just wrote a novel. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The novel I wrote it, I think it was 3 years ago. I have 2 kids, and I was high focus on my elder one, Julian, and I wasn't much related with Sebastian. And I talk about in the book about the forgotten son. So when I started to write the novel, it was about Sebastian to balance the equation. And at that moment, I didn't have the tools to write a novel, so I went to a workshop about creative writing. And after that, I joined a group about the 18 texts with a group of 7 guys that were writing novels, stories, that kind of stuff. And that was a kind of upgraded group. And I learned a lot there. They erased many sentences that I wrote, but it was great for me. And writing a novel is a long run, because perhaps you are one whole year there. And every Friday we went there, and the teacher was editing your text in front of everyone, and everyone has to share their opinion about your work. And that was tough, listening that this is not so good, that this hasn't coherence. Yeah, but I learned a lot there, and I'm very grateful that I wrote my novel.
I can imagine. Yeah, congratulations for that. I also wrote a couple of books, and it took a lot of discipline, and I did it on my own without any knowledge. I just put in the ideas and correcting and trying to make sense, and it was really difficult. So people sometimes ask me, "Are you going to write again?" And I say, I don't think so, unless something comes up. But it's yeah, I can imagine how tough it was for you. Also, a learning experience, when people criticize you in front of you, and then you have to swallow that, no?
Yeah, you mentioned discipline. I want to share a little secret. When I was writing a novel, I arrived to my office half an hour earlier, and I wrote a scene, and I edited, and I sent it to a friend. Every day I do that, from Monday through Fridays at the office, and on the weekends on a coffee store. Every day I deliver to the guy. And one Sunday, I don't know what happened, that I didn't deliver nothing. And my friend told me, what has happened with my mini novel? You didn't deliver it. So I had an accountability partner to push me and to make it happen. It's a persistent thing. Writing a novel is not a small topic. You have to be prepared, and you have to be involved in that. But it's rewarding when you ended up with a good book.
And do you feel like more prepared now to write another one if you would want to?
Well, I don't have the drive to write it now. On Friday, I went to go to lunch with a friend, and he told me, "Yeah, you must write another thing because you're a good writer, But I don't have the topic. But one thing about the novel is that I have a great coach. That teacher was a great coach and is my editor in every book I deliver. And that's a big thing. Good coaches elevate your game. It's in writing, it's in sports, it's everything. That guy elevated my writing a lot.
Awesome. Love that.